Hi, everyone. You are watching the Self Connection with Ginny Brown and Kelly Pietro, where we have conversations with a group of ascended masters known as the multitude of the greater good.
The multitude of the greater good consists of multitudes and multitudes of multitudes. Therefore, there's a great deal of information that they have and are willing to share with us. They have access to information from the day of creation to the present time and are happy to help us with whatever we need whenever we need it. We just need to ask.
All right. So today we're going to ask some common questions about some topics that you hear out in the world. Some are a bit conspiratorial, and I feel like the multitude can set the record straight on. But then it'll also lead us into a whole other topic that is interesting to explore. So the first question is, if the multitude could set the record straight, please, is the earth flat or round? And they can be brief if they want, unless they need to expand on it.
It is important to understand that there are many ways to look at that question. For one, it is important to understand that if the earth were flat, there would be many more episodes regarding one bumping one into the other all the time. As there would be no way for one to express who one is when one is. In our estimation, the earth is round, my dear. We can see it from our vantage point quite differently than you can see it on the earth plane. However, the physical earth, in our estimation, is round. If it were flat, there would be a great deal more disharmony between peoples on the earth plane.
Thank you. Okay. Another question that gets thrown around a lot is, was the moon landing real? And what they're talking about is, what's the guy's name?
Armstrong?
Yes, Neil Armstrong landing on the actual moon. Some people will say it was a filmed thing and it's not real. So is the moon landing real?
It is important to understand there are many moon landings that have been filmed that are not real. However, we can tell you, Mr. Armstrong was quite pleased with his accomplishment, and he is most pleased to allow you to understand it was quite real indeed.
Well, that's interesting the way they worded that. He is pleased to have you understand that it was real. That doesn't tell me if it was real or not.
It is important to understand that we can tell you that he is the one who landed there. He is the one who should know, and he would be quite pleased for you to understand that not only was it an accomplishment in his lifetime, it was an accomplishment for all the earth in time to come. He is most pleased to be able to have, most pleased to have been able to have performed it for everyone.
Okay.
More clear?
Yeah, I'm sure people will pick that apart, and I'm trying to anticipate that so that it's just clear once and for all, but we're going to leave it at that because I want to get to the other topics.
Okay.
Okay. What is on the dark side of the moon?
It is important to understand what is on the dark side of the moon. It's the same that is on the front side of the moon. It is just hidden in shadow. Do not be concerned.
Okay, and now some people will say the moon is hollow or it was planted there. Can they tell us what is true about those two things?
It is important to understand that the moon is as hollow as the earth. If one believes the earth is hollow, then one may believe the moon is hollow. However, we can tell you it is fashioned in the same manner as the earth in order to be able to exist in the earth's atmosphere, the energetic atmosphere of the earth. If it were hollow, it would be unable to sustain itself in such a way. I'm seeing it'd be bouncing all over the place.
Okay.
And
So
the other part of that question?
it was like some people believe that the moon is fake and it was put there by humans or something like that. I don't know.
We can assure you that it was processed within the confines of processing the earth. When the earth was created, the moon was created, it was put there, but not by humans.
Thank you. Okay, so those are just some like outer space things, set the record straight. That take me into a similar topic. Aliens.
Right.
I feel like we need to have a whole episode on aliens because it's questions that people ask a lot.
Okay.
So, what can be shared? No, that's not how I want to say it. What can the multitude tell us of what is true about alien abductions?
It is important to understand there is no such thing as an alien abduction. If one is ready to explore more, one will allow oneself to be in the proximity of what one knows on the earth plane as an alien. If one is interested in learning more, one allows oneself to appreciate access, allow the process of moving forward within the confines of that particular alien. In our estimation, it is all prescribed or contracted before coming to the earth plane. As much is to be learned on the earth plane, both by those living on the earth plane and those who are not living on the earth plane. There's a great deal to be achieved on both areas of being. Do not be concerned.
Okay, so just to clarify, because I can imagine our listeners, let's say someone who had an alien abduction experience will say, I didn't choose that. What the multitude is saying is on some level, like your soul may have chose that as part of your experience in this lifetime. Is that what they're saying?
Before coming to the earth plane, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so can they clarify then, because they said there's no such thing as alien abduction. So it might be a matter of semantics, but are they saying that there's no such thing as a human being taken off of Earth, brought to somewhere off of the planet Earth? They're saying that that is not what happens, and if not, what's actually happening then?
It is important to understand that before coming to the earth plane, each one decides what it is that one wishes to accomplish while on the earth plane. If it is that one decides, oh, I'd like to know more about this or that while I'm on the earth plane, sometimes the only way that can happen is if someone or something intercedes in the process in order to allow them to experience the experience. In our estimation, there are those on the earth plane who have allowed themselves to be in contact with other species, with others who are far more knowledgeable than they are. In so doing, allowing themselves to learn more about who the other is. In our estimation, the plans were, it's like, I'm getting concrete. The plans were made before one comes to the earth plane. However, they are not like in concrete, so to speak. They are able to be changed, interchanged, expanded, reduced, however the person chooses to do it within their spiritual self. However, the earth self is one to take part in the process. The earth self is the one that has experienced the experiences of allowing oneself to be in the proximity of the alien while one is on the earth plane. However, one may choose or not choose to go and complete their process. Therefore, if one chooses to complete the process or the agreement that they made, then they may be it's like taken upon the quote mothership and allowed to experience an experience that is not available on the earth plane. They are taken to fulfill their dreams and wishes and returned. Therefore, it's like a spaceship or an airplane. You go from here to there, and then you come back from there to here. Do not be concerned. When one experiences such an experience on the earth plane, one cannot know of the contract that was made before coming to the earth plane. Therefore, they believe they have been abducted in a negative, unspiritual way. However, it is important to understand that each one who has experienced such an experience has made a contract before coming to the earth plane and allowed themselves to experience something that would not have otherwise been experienced. Do not be concerned.
That was a great answer. Okay, but just to get some clarification, to get an understanding of what physically is happening, because people will report, yeah, like going onto a mothership. Is what's happening is their physical body being lifted off of Earth and being placed in another physical place? Or is it happening more on like a frequency level where their vibration changes, so they appear to have disappeared from Earth and maybe their consciousness, I don't want to say rematerializes, but like is having an experience in another dimension, perhaps? Like, can they explain that phenomenon along with the phenomenon of missing time? Maybe those are two questions.
It is important to understand that when one agrees to achieve such a process, one allows oneself to be taken, so to speak, and it does not matter if it is in the physical or in the experiential. When one is ready to allow oneself to expand oneself, one does. There are those who actually, it's like board a ship and move themselves in such a way as to experience more in such a respect. And then there are those who prefer to vibrationally move themselves forward. Those are the ones who believe that they have been abducted. However, in our estimation, they have just allowed themselves to move forward on the earth plane differently. When it is that they are ready, they allow themselves to experience. And when they are ready, they allow themselves to return, so to speak. Do not be concerned.
So how then would they explain the phenomenon of missing time? And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, like some of these abductees will say, like, they were gone for like a week or 5 hours and they have no recollection of that period of time. And then some of them won't even remember like boarding a ship or anything like that. They might have like a hypnosis regression that brings forth those memories. But in their prior to any sort of hypnosis, they'll just explain it as missing time. How would the multitude explain the phenomenon of missing time?
It is important to understand that since there is no time, it's like otherwhere, other than the earth plane.
Okay.
Um, there is no way to, it's like no way to project the experience other than missing time. There are those who experience a time on the earth plane and kind of step into a different existence for a while and then return to the earth plane. And in so doing, earth time has moved on, but their time has not, as they have been in an experience. Therefore, we can tell you it is only a matter of how time is calculated on the earth plane.
Okay, so that's good to know, because I know we had another question about time. So I can find it really quick. I could cover it. No, I can't find it really quick, but anyway, I think that's really, so basically, time is a construct of the earth plane, and outside of the earth plane, time does not exist.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so some people will believe after an abduction that they'll have marks on their body. Can you tell I've been listening to some alien podcasts? Shout out to Lights Out.
Yeah.
They'll talk about having like an implant. They'll come back with a mark on their skin, and they believe that aliens have placed an implant in them, whether it's a tracking device or who knows what it's for. Can they explain what is true about that or not?
It's important to understand that as if it is that one chooses to believe they have been harmed in some way, it is their choice to believe that. However, 99% of the time, there is no damage. There is no harm caused. There is only that part of oneself that is inquisitive. And if one is inquiring as to how this works or how that works, one may be, it's like, what I'm seeing is like this energetic thing flying at them. They may put themselves in harm's way, and it's like be hit with a projectile, like a stone, like a pebble or something like that. If you throw it, that's how I'm perceiving this. It's like it's not a knife. It's not dangerous. It's not anything like that. If it is that one chooses to experience differently, one may put themselves in a scenario where they become like in the middle of an experiment, so to speak, in the middle of a process, therefore being injured or damaged to their physical self. We can tell you when one is expanded on it's like the only thing I can equate it to on the earth plane is taken into a ship and experiencing the experience that way. One is able to allow themselves to experience many things, and there are those things that I don't know where that's going. It's about many experiences and experiments happening on the ship itself. We can tell you there are many who are confused about their return. However, it is always in the process of expansion and completion. And when one returns, one is always returned in the state in which one, has left. However, it is important to understand if one believes there is a problem, there is a problem.
Just to expand on that last statement, when one believes there is a problem, there is a problem, because they say that a lot. Are they saying when one believes there is a problem, they will then manifest a problem? Or are they saying when one believes there's a problem, their intuition is correct, there likely is a problem?
It is important to understand that both can be correct. However, in our estimation, 99% of the time, it is a manufactured problem and it's not real at all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so since I listened to this podcast, now I get all these freaking alien things in my social feeds. And there was one that I watched about a guy who was making this confessional video. It was like 1989, and he's talking about how he's part of the government and like I don't know. Uh, he was responsible for silencing any whistleblowers as it pertains to the US's collaboration with alien races. So, this is always like a thing like, does the government actually know and collaborate with alien races? Do they have an agreement that like aliens can abduct so many humans per year in exchange for alien technology that the government then uses and blah, blah, blah. These are some of the narratives out there, and I'd like the multitude to set the record straight, please.
I didn't hear a question and all that.
Can the multitude please clarify what is true about any collaboration that the US government might have with alien races?
It is important to understand that certain alien races have made agreements with many and allow themselves to experience many different things through many different avenues of being. There are those on the earth plane who have made agreements. There are those on the physical plane who have said, okay, I'm ready. I will allow myself to experience an experience with you, and allow themselves to complete the process and then remember their process. And when it is that one remembers their process and expands themselves to a certain degree or extent to be able to share that process, they are put down, harassed, bullied, whatever you want to call it, and not allow themselves to be themselves. There is that part. However, it is also important to understand for the highest and greatest good of all concerned, there have been agreements made, some with governments, most with individual. It's like people and research laboratories that allow themselves to experience more in order to move the human race forward. We can tell you 99% of the time it is a positive rather than a negative.
This is another question. Is there a galactic federation? Who is part of it and what is their mission?
It is important to understand as the Earth has its own, excuse me. As the Earth has their own groups of like-minded people, so do the aliens, so to speak, have their own groups of like-minded people. As there is a governing body on the Earth plane of groups, there is also a governing body of groups in the alien population. We can tell you it is as it needs to be, as there needs to be some kind of structure or ability of controlling structure of controlling those who believe that they are more powerful than the other, and therefore there needs to be a way of it's silencing, but a way of controlling the outburst or it's like the outbursts of behavior that are not acceptable. do not be concerned.
Oh. Star Wars is really, no. Okay, last topic in this category. I'm covering all the conspiracies today, Ginny.
Okay.
I think this falls under this category. I guess I haven't gone down this rabbit hole enough to really know what people are thinking about. I just hear a lot of talk of clones. And I often hear it with like talks about aliens. So I'm sure there's more to this topic and our listeners can chime in with their own questions, but again, just trying to set the record straight on things. So I'm just going to ask a very simple question. Well, I think it's simple. Who knows? Are clones real?
It is important to understand there are those that are capable of creating a mass or an individual out of a single cell. That is truth. However, when one allows oneself to look closer, there are those parts of self that are, it's like indivisible and unable to be accessed. If there is a clone of a being, yes, it can be a physical clone. However, it's like the soul component is missing.
Okay, that just opened a whole can.
I never even thought of that, but
I think a lot of people talk about this like as it pertains to Hollywood. Like one of the things people are saying right now, so the whole Diddy thing,
okay. I haven't been following it.
well, it's like, I mean, I won't get into like the whole topic, but he was arrested and now you see people saying it wasn't him that was arrested, it was a clone because, you know, he has two birthmarks and this picture shows someone. So, and then you hear a lot of people talk about Hollywood and how they're converted in some way to like a darker side and well, they must be cloned. All right, so what's the question? Is it true that cloning exists in Hollywood for the sake of nefarious reasons?
It is important to understand that there are sometimes those that are termed as body doubles, and it could have that kind of impact. However, 99% of the time it's like it is an impossibility, as there is much more involved than just having someone look like someone else. In our estimation, yes, there is that possibility. And however, 99% of the time it's incomplete.
Okay, so then let me ask a similar question. Is it true that body doubles in Hollywood for nefarious reasons is very common? I'm not using the word clone there on purpose.
Mhm. It is important to understand that each one has their own reason for being who they are. And sometimes there are those who allow themselves to be who they are not. In order to allow themselves to learn a bit more about who they are. However, in our estimation, when there is one on the earth plane who is willing to give oneself up in honor of another, there is the possibility of losing oneself altogether. Therefore, we would highly recommend that one take the opportunity to look deeply into who one is before one makes such a determination. We can tell you that there are those who have decided to go ahead and alter themselves in order to be in proximity with another. However, 99% of the time, it does not work favorably for the one who has given up oneself. We would highly recommend that you not be concerned, as it's like it's not prevalent. It is not a prevalent occupation or doing. It's not done a lot in the earth plane.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I think people think it's happening all the time in Hollywood, so it's good to get the record straight on that. Okay, well, this is gonna be my last question, and only because we just talked about P. Diddy. Is, oh no, there's gonna be two questions. The first one is, what is the significance or purpose, in other words, the contribution to the collective of the P. Diddy exposure?
It is important to understand there are many who believe that there are evils in the world. However, we can tell you that each occupation, each self, each person is on the earth plane to learn. It is a learning experience. It is a expansion experience. And if someone can learn from another without doing the doing, just being the being that they are, that is an exclusive experience that one can attain by not actually taking part. We can tell you there are those on the earth plane who are involved in many nefarious, to use your word, many nefarious acts. However, 99% of the time, it is for learning purposes, experiencing purposes, and helping others learn differently. In our estimation, when one comes to the earth plane, one has decided many ways in which to learn. And it's important to understand that when one comes, one decides, or basically before one comes, one decides on how it is they wish to learn, what it is they wish to learn, and why it is they wish to learn it. Do not be concerned.
Oh. Okay, so they started that with saying many people there believe there are dark forces, and that is one of the narratives around P. Diddy, is that, you know, there's this satanic cult in Hollywood, of which he is one of the ringleaders. And you know, they show images of like past Super Bowl events with descriptions of you know, whatever's going on, and then they're comparing, they're saying there's a narrative around, well, they're doing this to harvest everyone's energy to feed their purpose of pursuing their satanic cult. Almost gives like the fans this feeling of, oh my gosh, what did I participate in? Right? So that narrative is most definitely out there right now and very prevalent in, you know, people talking about this whole, you know, uncovering of P. Diddy's sex trafficking and drug infused lifestyle and celebrity lifestyle. So I guess the question is, what is true about that?
A satanic cult, that's what you're talking about?
That's what people are saying. I want to know what's true and what's not.
It is important to understand, my dear. And the words I got is it is a cover-up. It is important to understand that when one believes that there is a problem, there is a problem. If one believes there is a satanic cult, then we would consider that a problem. If one believes that there is that part of self that is unworthy, then we would consider that a problem. However, we can tell you in each and every other one on the earth plane is quite worthy of being on the earth plane, quite sure of who one is in one way or another, and quite able to move forward. If one believes that they are it's like abducted or impersonated or
I'm hearing sacrificed.
Yeah, or pulled into a cult in such a way. It is important to understand that they are in some way feeling insecure about who they are, as when it is that they know who they are and stand straight and tall in their own shoes. There is no way that they can be pulled into anything. We would highly recommend that when one moves forward in such a way as to say, hey, I'm here on the earth plane. I'm doing what I need to do. I know what I need to do, and I'm moving forward in that area. And if it is that they choose to do something in their own way, then they choose to do something in their own way, and it does not affect me. Therefore, there is no satanic cult to be pulled into. There is only that one that says, I am standing straight and tall in my own shoes, and I am not participating. Therefore, they cannot be taken down by negative energy. We can tell you, however, there are those who believe that there is a satanic cult. We can tell you, when one allows oneself to believe such a thing, and the word is nonsense, when one allows oneself to believe such a thing, one is unsure of who one is and why one is, and one needs to look deep within oneself to allow oneself to understand that there is nothing out there. There is only that which is in oneself. And if one decides that it is time for one to expand oneself in one way or another, one will allow one to experience it from the inside out rather than from the outside in. Do not be concerned.
I love that. Because that is exactly what I have been feeling as I'm watching all these theories unfold. And I think you get pulled into stuff because I could feel like the untruth of it. And
Yeah.
so I think what they said earlier was very interesting. Like, I am not involved in this thing, but I'm witnessing it. And through the witnessing, there's some level of experience that I'm having just by witnessing the unfolding of it. And I think
Mhm.
that's what they said the significance or the purpose of this exposure is. Um, and so as I'm watching these videos and interviews, I'm witnessing people, the thought that, because it's a victim mentality for sure, and I'm not taking away from the fact that these people are victimized, people who were taken advantage of, promised a career, and then assaulted essentially over and over. They're certainly victims of that assault, but the more empowering message is that they are empowered. They can choose to come out of that construct. They can, instead of saying, I was part of a satanic cult or whatever, which they may believe to be true, they are still empowered to be empowered, to stand in their own two boots, as the multitude says, and say, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Certainly, when you're talking about false imprisonment, where, his victims were held in his home, basically under force, you may not feel like you're empowered, and perhaps there's something to be experienced through that. But like, his ex-wife filed a lawsuit, and it snowballed into this huge exposure to hopefully free his other victims from this prison that they are in, because they're under his thumb and they're being bribed or whatever. It's
Mhm.
like, I think what the multitude is saying is, like, kind of dig deep into your soul and be empowered to change your life. So yeah, I think that the satanic cult narrative is very disempowering, because it makes his victims seem like they can't come out of it, that they've been captured in some way, their soul has been captured in some way. and the message that there's always the choice to be empowered and change your life, that's always available.
Yeah, it's available, but it's also very difficult. And
Yeah.
again, is people are not always aware that they have that ability or opportunity to do that.
Thank you. You always throw that in there and it's so important. I guess I tune into like the hopefulness of it, and you bring it back to like, yeah, but we're humans and we don't know that that's available. Like I'm like, I want them to know it's available. And it's like, yeah, but they might not know and they might not know how to get out. So they need the assistance of another,
Yeah, they don't.
which you look at Cassie, his ex-wife, who filed that lawsuit that started the exposure. And it's like, that's one helpful being to help the others come out and feel more empowered.
Will help them and many others too who have been caught up in those types of experiences.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 All right, well, we covered the gamut from flat
Yeah.
Earth to aliens and the fake moon that's not fake at all. And Hollywood clones, and I don't know,
Yeah.
I like I like seeing what conspiracies are out there, bringing them to the multitude for truth to be shined on that topic,
Yeah.
because I think a lot of people can get wrapped up in the dialogue around the conspiracy, and that alone can be disempowering and kind of, take you into, but who knows, maybe that's part of each individual's experience to go down those avenues of thinking, excuse me, and have their own.
Well, I think too, there's a lot of times things get sensationalized and you don't know what's true and what's not true.
Yeah.
So, the multitude teaches, check in with yourself, check in with your body. How does it feel? Does it feel true to you? Where do you feel in your body? Does it feel right? Is it uncomfortable? Is it feel a good feeling? So it's checking in with yourself to know what's right for you. And I think part of that is checking in with yourself to feel what's right for you.
As you're saying that, I'm learning about myself and my own way of checking, not really checking in with myself, but like, because I'll get sucked into topics. And I think I get sucked in when I know that there's untruth. And so I'm starting to like, I'll watch all these videos and like waiting for like that truth to be uncovered. And it might not ever get uncovered, but I'm there like witnessing, but also feeling like this isn't quite right. And
Yeah.
for me personally, when the multitude sheds light on it, I feel like my mind can be put at ease. It's like, boom, done, move on. So
Good.
that to me is a gift that the multitude brings. So thank you for
I'm
channeling
glad to
them.
hear that.
And
You're welcome.
yeah. So with that, is there anything that the multitude would like to share with us to wrap up on the topics covered today?
Of course, there's always more. It is important to understand, my dear, that we are the ones who are happy to help in each and every other one on the earth plane. And in our estimation, it is a matter of asking, whether it be with the mind self, with the mouth, or with the heart self. It is important to understand the energy is doing the asking, not necessarily the words or the it's like the person, the
Mm,
mind.
okay.
It is important to understand that each one has come to the earth plane to experience. Some experiences are considered as good experiences. Some are considered as not so good or bad experiences. However, each one comes to experience and to learn and to grow from those experiences. Sometimes they are repeated in other lifetimes, and sometimes they are completed in the current lifetime. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Awesome. Oh, well, that's helpful to hear as the question asker. I always get so wrapped up in phrasing the question right, because I want them to answer on a certain emphasis or whatever.
Well, they do say the more specific your question, the more specific your answer.
Yeah, and I guess I assume that they can tap into my feeling self of like what I'm trying to convey, or that's my hope at least. So, all right. Good one,
Okay,
Ginny.
well, thank you, Kelly, for all your questions.
I got more.
I never know what you're gonna bring.
Yeah, that was a Pandora's box, that one, huh?
Yeah, yeah, that was good though. Yeah,
Yeah.
got a lot of good information. So,
Yeah, well, I'll be interested to see, if anyone's ever watching and they're like, "Oh man, I wish she branched off and asked about this." You can ask your own personal questions on my website, www.themindfulherbalist.com. There's a link across the top or on the menu um, to the self connection. And at
mhm.
that landing page, scroll down to the bottom. There's a form you can submit your own questions, and we'll cover them. The next video we do is going to be a lot of listener questions because they're starting to build up. So, but if you could please, when you submit your questions, just one succinct question, not a whole dialogue that gives the background. The multitude knows the background, and they know who's asking the question. They know the intent of the question. Just keep it a succinct question and not like a paragraph long, because that makes it a lot harder to sift through all of the requests. And just one question at a time, please.
Yeah, the more specific your question, the more specific your answer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they
and
do not need all the background. You are correct.
yeah, and a lot of times if you've submitted a question, we haven't covered it, like the chances are is we've covered it in another video. You might not see it as the video title, but we did cover it, and maybe that's why we're not choosing to ask that one again.
And
But certainly we're open to listener questions, so we'd love to hear from you, especially if there's a topic that we didn't go deep enough in. Because we could go deep on any topic, but I try to cover a lot of topics so that we're getting a lot of information. So yeah,
yeah,
feel free to submit your questions.
yeah. And I would just like to add that both Kelly and I are open to sessions in our own expertise. And we are just our emails should be listed underneath this video. Just go ahead and email us if you're interested in a session for yourself.
Yeah, I think it's our websites that are in the YouTube uh, or description. So if you wanted to book a session with Ginny and ask your individual questions about your soul path, your guides, your past lifetimes, Q&A, where she channels from the multitude the answers to your specific questions, that's a great way to work with Ginny. She also has some group experiences as well.
Yeah, but the multitude's goal is to help you become a better you. So if you ask, should I move to the next state? They're going to say something about, well, what feels right for you? What, they will bring it back to you and what's right for you. So they answer from the very highest levels, and their goal is to help you become more of who you are, know more of what you know, and move yourself forward from there.
Yeah, so those lower density questions like, what's the name of my spirit guide? They don't,
There's
they
no
don't,
names there.
yeah, it's not important, they're going to help you to tune into your own sense of self. And so that's what Ginny means when it's like, it's a much higher vibration. It's beyond the density of the ego and the personality. It's up here in that soul realm. Um, so, sometimes the answers are not satisfying to the ego mind that wants details and dates and
Yeah,
names and all of that. But it really does honor your free will and your soul's path more so than what satisfies the ego mind.
exactly. So,
Um, so yeah, check out Ginny's work,
yeah,
and keep listening to the self connection.
yeah. And check out Kelly's too, because she's available also.
Yes, I have
Different,
classes on herbal remedy making. I have a wait list for my class, the Intuitive Energy Worker, which is intuitive development and energy work strategies. I've got videos I need to finish editing before I make that available. And then I have one-on-one sessions as well, which is energy work and herbal consultations. So, and Ginny also does energy work as well. So,
Oh, yeah, I do.
oh yeah, forgot about that tingling in the hands I was talking about.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I forget about that, yeah. Yeah, it's Reiki, Shambhala, and something called Higher Realms Healing, which is a very high vibration healing energy, which I love. It's extremely relaxing, so. So thank you, Kelly, for all of your questions today, and looking forward to our next visit.
Thank you for channeling, and thanks to the multitude for joining and providing all these wonderful insights.
You're welcome.
So until next time, we'll see you guys on.
We are most pleased.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right,
Okay.
guys, we'll see you next time on the Self Connection. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.